how do you get into it? And I'm going now into computers and emails. What is your login for your emails and your passwords? So just information that people know that you can put away if you're worried that people are going to get into your things. This is for future. It's not necessarily going to publish this in the daily news.
Yeah. You're going to lock it up too.
Yeah, you're going to lock it up.
Welcome to Aging in Style, the podcast dedicated to celebrating aging and what it takes to do it well. I'm Lori Williams. I'm a certified senior advisor and senior housing expert. In each episode, you'll learn stories of older adults who are thriving in their 70s, 80s, 90s, and in some cases in their hundreds. Whether you're an older adult or the child of an older adult, this podcast is filled with insightful resources, organizations that are doing incredible work, and stories that will inspire you to volunteer, learn, and who knows, maybe even skydive in your golden years.
Welcome to Aging in Style. I'm so glad you're here because we have a really important show for you. I have Lynne Von Villas back, and if you are a regular listener, you probably heard her. It's been a couple of years ago now. We had her on to talk about the binder, and it's a binder of essential documents needed for everyone, whether you are a senior or not. And so we, for the last couple of years, I've had to use this information and I have seen how valuable it is. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the binder, why it's important, how it's used, and then we're going to break it down and go through each page of it and what you need. Lynne and I are also doing workshops in the Dallas area, and I'm also going to have a downloadable for those of you who are not in this area, but the downloadable will have all the information that we're going to talk about today so that you can create your own binder of essential documents. So welcome, Lynne.
Hello.
Glad to have you back on. So why don't we just jump into it and talk about how this idea came up for you about the binder?
Okay. Couple things. I had to settle my aunt and uncle's affairs in Rhode Island, and I live in Texas. So I needed a mobile office with those documents. My dad died about 7 years ago, and my mom is still living, and I had to take care of his affairs because my mom is not capable. She's 97. So I again needed a mobile office to shut down my dad's estate and put mom in charge or me for the affairs. And a couple of years ago, I did lose my son and we needed to take care of his affairs. So unfortunately, I've had more than one use for this, and that's kind of how it has evolved and refined over the years.
Mm-hmm. So important information. Just want y'all to know we are not attorneys, so this is not legal advice or anything. This is just something that Lynne has put together that has been very helpful and helpful to many others. Also, this book is not just for death. I mean, it's for anything, like you were saying, Lynne.
My mom actually ended up in the hospital during COVID, and I sat in the parking lot because I wasn't allowed to go in with her binder, and they kept running out for information. So all her we'll get into it, but her prescriptions, everything that you need, even as a 20-year-old or a 30-year-old to help your parents is in this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So this is not just for you if you're 80 years old. This is for your family and to help your kids. And I feel like the binder can open conversations with family members because I know a lot of people have no clue anything about their parents' estate. And so I think this is a great way to open those conversations and not let it be an emergency situation where you're trying to find this information because you're already in a bad state as it is, emotional, and then to have to be trying to figure out, is it in this file cabinet or is it somewhere else in the house or is it just not around? So that's why why the importance of the binder, just to have everything together in one place where you can find it. So let's kind of dive into what you call the punch list of all the items, and we'll just go step by step.
Okay, the first couple pages is just a punch list. And again, it's more for thinking and oh yeah or oh no. The first thing is, do not announce the death immediately. That would be for identity protection. Again, my son died, he was 43, and we didn't want the world to take his identity. Just don't announce it immediately. And also for other reasons, banking and whatnot, you want to get all your information done first before you announce the death. You don't need to be waiting for death certificates to come in. Change of address. if you are the responsible person, like I am for my mom and I was for my dad, change their address to your address. That way you'll get all the mail and you'll see what's coming. You'll see what they're doing. You'll see their subscriptions. You'll see the crazy accounts that they may have. And you get a good read on what you're going to be responsible for.
Yeah, that's a valid point. And then I think the most important
is cell phone.
Yes.
And I found out this because when my dad died, I had his cell phone and this third-party verification identification number, because many times I logged in and needed this and it would pop up and it's like, oh, I can get in. And
so this is what really stuck with me when Lynne talked about this, about the binder, the first time we talked. When my husband had his strokes, Christmas 2022, I remembered I'm grabbing his phone. So I always had his phone with me charged because I had to go in. So many things were in his name and going to his email or to his phone. And I had to go and change everything. And so if I had not had his phone, I wouldn't have been able to get that security code to change. And he had a lot of things that were facial recognition. So he was laying, it's kind of funny now because it was just so crazy, but he's laying in the hospital bed and I'm holding the phone over him trying to get it to open and, read his face. And so sometimes he's looking at me like, what are you trying to grab at it? Like, like what on earth are you doing? And I'm like, it's fine, it's fine. But that was such an important tip for me because I was able to change everything because all of the billing he took care of. I mean, I knew thankfully what we had, but I had to change everything to come to me. And I don't know if I'd been able to do it without his phone.
I think that's the first and the most important is the cell phone. So do not disable, change, make sure you can get in. You know the passwords to get in. So you don't get locked out. That's the number one thing I would say.
That is true. Know the password to the phone. Luckily I did know his password, but yeah, that's very important because I don't know my mom's password.
Yeah. So anyways, moving on to the financial side of this and making sure again, now this goes for both my daughter who's 43 now and my mom who's 97. Know how, where, and what the bills are. How are they paid? Utility bills, the electric, the gas, the internet, the cable, the cell phone, the streaming, the water. How are they paid? Do they just pay them are they paid automatically? Are they paid because you have to go in and pay them on your phone? Are checks written? I know that's taboo these days, but you need to know how to take care of this. Taxes, home-related, HOA.
Oh, you bring up HOA. That's a good one because Mark had everything auto pay except the HOA. And I get a bill like that I'm overdue. I haven't paid it. And I'm like, what on earth? And so, I didn't even think about it. And I go back and look, and that was the one thing he did not have on auto draft.
And for anybody, HOA is Homeowners Association. If you're not in Texas or not familiar with it, it's kind of like the club that your neighborhood is in that you have to pay for.
Well, they take care of like the
grass and whatnot.
The common areas. Yeah.
Down here, it's HOA. And the other big thing, home security system. What is the password and how do you arm it and disarm it? We actually have our information on a little keypad. So when you come in, you could arm and disarm it. But that's another thing. If you can't get into the house and you set the alarm off and the police show up and you have to tell them who you are. Yeah, right.
That's a good point.
Supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Credit cards. Get rid of credit cards. Put everything on one card. If they have multiple cards, wean them down, get rid of them. You're trying to make this a simple process. You don't need 10 credit cards with all this stuff on it. Yard and house services. Do they have that? Do you need to worry about that? And the other thing is all the apps on your phone and the apps on the computer. Do you pay for those? Who pays for them? How are they paid for?
Do you even know it's on there and you're paying for it?
Yeah, you today,
Exactly.
So that's another thing that just quickly, the financial side of bills, some of the things that we've thought of, are they paid automatically? You need to know this. You need to know this. And again, going back to login and passwords, you need to know everything. You need to know what has passwords today. Everything has passwords. They have the third-party verification. They have the questions to get in. I know this isn't the greatest for someone that's a techie, but for the questions that they ask you, now you know all my secrets, I use the noun in the sentence. What is your favorite dog? Well, I'm 70 years old. I've had a lot of dogs. The answer to that question for me would be dog. Don't make this complicated. People think of who is going to be cleaning up your affairs.
I mean, it is so true because a lot of the questions they ask are, what was the first car you had? What was your first dog's name? You know, things like that. My kids would have no idea. As I would have no idea for my mom either. So, I mean, this is, like, we're talking about writing all these passwords and things down. You know, you don't have to give this to anyone right now. It's just that you have it in your binder and that your kids or whoever's going to be the responsible party, they know where that binder is. So if something happens, they can access it. You're not, giving them the keys to your world, This is just having it organized for the future.
Correct. Social Security. Make sure that you are the payee of whoever you're dealing with Social Security, like my mom, who's 97. I am the legal payee, so Social Security can talk to me and deal with her issues. You have to go into Social Security. I believe I went up to our Social Security office and actually did it. But
that's interesting because Mark is on Social Security disability and he is the payee. So I need to change that.
Financial information. Do they have investments? Do they have an advisor? Do they have an account that you need to know about other than the normal bank accounts? Do they have a portfolio? My biggest thing would be to have them have some kind of a financial advisor so it's all in one place. That would be my information. Pension information. I know a lot of people don't have pensions these days. Going back to me, my dad worked with GE and my mom still gets his pension. I needed to know his pension information, how to get my mom legally getting it, which is all well and good. But pension information, once they die, that needs to continue along with Social Security. Taxes. Who does the taxes? They've been filed every year, hopefully. Who did them? Are you responsible for them? Taxes still need to be filed. If somebody dies, they need to be filed to end the tax information, or the remaining spouse or mate needs to file them. Again, my mom, I file her taxes every year. Joint accounts. I'm talking about bank accounts, checking accounts, CDs that you might have at your local bank. Make sure that your name or whoever is the responsible person is on these accounts. You've got to be able to get into these accounts, manipulate them, use them, transfer the money, pay bills. So all banking and investments, make sure your name is on them, not just as a beneficiary, but as a co-owner or
well, that's something I do.
Joint.
I need to do because it's my husband and I on ours, but God forbid if something were to happen to me, I need to go and have my son put on. And do you put your name or is it your name and? I need to ask the attorney.
The bank will tell you. Also, I think it's and or.
Okay.
Really, because Susan's on all of ours.
Did she have to go to the bank with you and show her ID?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
We did this many years ago.
Okay.
She is also on my business accounts. So any account I have, Susan's name is on. So she can have fun. Credit cards. We talked about this a little bit. Get them turned off. And even if there is an automatic pay on a credit card, the worst thing will happen is it won't get paid. They'll contact you and say, what's up? And you can explain, give them another card, but get the credit cards turned off.
And that's when they die. Before passing, you're wanting to kind of get rid, don't have 10 credit cards.
Right.
There. Just right. If you're 80 years old, especially, or anyone. I don't have a lot of credit cards myself. I'm not into that. But you're saying once they pass away,
turn them off.
Okay.
And then if something bounces, you really don't care.
Yeah.
And you can talk to them and say, ooh, we have this one account, and shuffle everything through one account instead of multiples. Consolidate auto pays to one card, easy to keep track of. And again, going back to the apps, what do you pay for and how are they paid? So there's a lot to the financial side, and I'm sure you would think of more, but these are the biggies. These are the biggies. And if you are 43, who pays your utilities? Are they auto paid? If something should happen to my daughter, I'm going to have to clean up her mess. Help me, kiddo. So that's the financial side of it. Mortgage, rents, and storage units. If you have a mortgage on your house, what is the lending information? Who's the lending bank? How is it paid? Is there an outstanding balance?
And if it's paid off, you need
Where is the deed?
Yeah.
If you own it and there's no debt, where is the deed? Mm-hmm. It may not necessarily fit in here because I know those deeds are 14 by something, but where is it? How can someone find it? Home taxes. How are the taxes paid? You need to know that. If there's rental, where is the rental agreement? Where is it located? Who is it paid for? When is it paid? How is it paid? You need that. And the other big thing is storage units. Do they have a storage unit? Or do you have a storage unit? Where is it located? The unit number and how to get in there. Because many people have storage units that you don't know about.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's like, oops.
I think that's how there's a show, Storage Wars, that my husband enjoys very much. But I think what happens is someone dies and it stops being paid. And then there could be valuable things in there. Usually it's just junk. But sometimes, on the show, there's valuable things. But I think that's how it happens.
Yeah.
Because you don't know about it.
Well, and if you don't want to tell people you've got this unit, but you need to know. Let's get rid of some of the secrets. Alarm codes, we talked about that. What are they? How do you get into the house?
One question. Did you mention safes in the house?
No, but we will get to it down here if you want.
Okay.
Let's talk about it now.
Well, yeah, because this is my oops. We have a safe, or my husband has a safe up in his office, and I don't know the passcode. I can't get in. So someone told me that I can call whoever the manufacturer is and get some kind of reset or something, or I just need a safe cracker.
Or a good drill.
And there's probably nothing big in there. There may be nothing in there. I don't know, but I am very curious. I've tried every combination I could think of and I can't get in. Yeah, don't do that.
No. So let's move on to the medical side of all of this. And again, this is also for the 40-year-olds and the 90-year-olds. Who are the doctors and why are they? Thinking of my daughter, I really don't know who her doctors are. She doesn't know who my doctors are. But if the information is in your book, it's there. If for some reason someone had to go to the hospital, say my husband, I could grab his book. We keep separate binders, one for me and one for him. And his information is in there. I don't keep up with his information. What are the prescriptions he's on? What are the dosings? Who the pharmacy are? It's all in here. So it's not just a death book, it's a life book. Take it to the hospital with you.
I'll add this too, Lynn, and I think because my husband, I don't know, he has, a chronic illness now or a chronic condition. I keep on my refrigerator, and there's a thing, it's Vial of Life. I've talked about it on the podcast before. You can get that through, I think, the fire department, but I just made my own sheet and I have added to it because we just recently had to call 911 and there were a couple of things like allergies I didn't have on there. But on that, I keep it on my fridge so that when the paramedics came in, they went to work on him, and then another paramedic came with me to the kitchen. And I just pulled it off my fridge. He took a picture, but it was all the medications. It was who his primary care physician is. The hospital I wanted him to go to because we have two options, and I know there's just one that deals with stroke. So, and they asked me that question, which hospital are we going to? And so that, because my son lives there with me and helps me care for Mark, he needs that information, and I keep his driver's license and insurance card there too. So it's just easy to go. So I would suggest that if you do have someone who has a chronic or progressive illness.
Excellent. Medical apps or portals. I was told they're not apps. Portals on your phone. How to log in. That's another vehicle that you can get information. Log in the portals and passwords.
That was one that came up. I had to do the facial recognition for Mark because this was annoying to me. But in the hospital, they are texting to him while he's still in the hospital the portal and the bill, and I can't get in there. And they're sending bills while you're still sitting there, and they're calling you. And I'm like, he can't talk. And could you just maybe email this information to me? And I mean, it's hard for me as a 50-something-year-old. I can't imagine if you're 80 or 90 and they're wanting you to go to the portal. I mean, it's crazy.
Agree. Home health care people, do you have those? Names and numbers. Hospice people, names and numbers. Medicare, again, we're in the medical. Medicare and the supplements for the health insurance, get all that. Get the provider's name, get the numbers. So this can be helpful to you. You can't have too much medical information. You need to know it.
I agree.
Kind of moving on to the legal side. Again, Lori and I are not legal at all.
Yeah, we are not attorneys.
Not even close. We're just moms. So on the legal side, make sure you have the basic legal documents: a will, the power of attorney, the medical power of attorney, the medical directive, and a trust. My recommendation is in the front of the binder or whatever. You put your power of attorney, the medical directive, which is kind of the pull the plug will, the medical power of attorney, and the physician's directive in the front of the binder. That way, when you're in the hospital, you can hand them these documents because everybody asked, do you have advanced planning? It's like, yep, right here. They take it, copy it, and they'll give it back to you.
You know, I will say, because I didn't ever really think about how this would work, but when Mark went to the hospital the first time, I had to make decisions for him about if he needed this clot busting drug, and he couldn't make the decision. They did allow me, which I understand if you are the spouse, you can make those kind of decisions, but I don't know, how would that work with your mom? Could you make a decision like that for her if you didn't already have this information?
I don't know, but when we traveled this summer, I made Susan the legal POA so that if she went in the hospital, Susan could do anything, answer the questions, and be her POA.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I've got it covered. Military. Do you have discharge papers or any military papers to show that you were in the service? Just recently, Lori had suggested something to do with military, and I didn't have my dad's military papers. I had to hunt them down. I did. But keep a copy of your military paperwork in the binder so it's easily accessible.
And that's going to come in handy if all of this is going to come in handy if you have a situation with a parent that maybe had a stroke or has dementia or whatever it may be, because you're going to need this if you're needing a caregiver to come in, if you're needing to place them into a senior living community. There are benefits through the VA that could help you afford to live in assisted living or memory care. So it's just to have all this, to talk about it and have all this information is just going to help you so much, because so many families I talk to have no clue about any of this.
And if you're VA, for cemetery burial, you can be buried at the VA cemetery, but you need the documents to be buried there. Birth certificates and marriage certificates. Crazy thing happened. My dad was 92 when he died. One of the things I had to hunt down was his mother's maiden name. It was on his birth certificate. But you need a copy of birth certificates, and if you're married, your marriage certificate. What I've done is I told you 2 binders. I've made copies and put one, the original in mine, and the copy in my husband's. And I wrote in his book that this is a copy, the original is in my book. But you need your birth certificate and death certificate and marriage certificates in the binder.
It has to be the original?
Yeah.
Okay.
Naturalization certificates.
Yeah, adoption, because both my kids are adopted, all their adoption information and naturalization, citizenship, all of that.
So any document for you need in the binder. Insurance information, moving on. Homeowners, auto insurance, umbrella insurance, any type of insurance. Where are the policies? How are they paid? What do they cover?
Long-term care insurance.
Long-term care insurance.
You need to know if your parents have that.
And if you don't have it, you need to go get it. You need to know where these policies are, how to use them, and what they pay for. And life insurance. Do you have life insurance policies? And also, on all of these policies, are you the one that's responsible? And not only are you the beneficiary, but you also on it as a co-owner. Are you on their homeowners policy so you can talk to the homeowners company? Are you on the long-term care policy so you can talk to them? You've got to be able to communicate with these people, and you've got to be on these policies. Beneficiaries. Are you the beneficiary on these policies? You need to be. And is there multiple beneficiaries? Car titles. Do you own the car? Where's the title? Who's on the title? If you're the one that has to take care of the car, sell it, whatever, you need to be on the title. Because if the person that died is on the title, you have to wait for the death certificate to come in to deal with the vehicle. So make sure that your name is on the vehicle and on the title.
But if it isn't, you just go through probate and then you can still sell it. And,
Yeah.
And everyone, at least in Texas, I do know this, that everyone goes through probate. But if you have a trust, you still go through probate, but it's quicker, right?
And it's easier.
It's easier. So we're not attorneys again, but just my
Been
little
there,
bit
done
of
that.
knowledge.
Yeah. This may sound strange, but hidden assets. Is there something located somewhere that's hidden? Money in the house? Where is it?
That's a good one, because I remember when my grandmother died, I remember going through her closet, and she always wore those little house dresses and in pockets. She had cash in several of those pockets. And they said she did that because she always wanted to have cash if her kids needed something. So yeah, they do that.
Yeah, we do it.
Yeah.
Jewelry. Do you have valuable jewelry? My thing would be take an inventory of it and take pictures of it. Again, no one wants your jewelry, but what is your good jewelry versus your costume jewelry? I don't know. I do have mine in 2 different boxes, and I've said to Susan before, this is good and this is junk. But will they know? Will they know what to do with good jewelry? Keys. Where are your keys? Where are the keys to the house, your safe, your filing cabinet, your cars, your jewelry boxes? Are they in a bowl all jumbled up? Are
In
they
a junk drawer.
in a junk drawer?
Along with some of my neighbor's keys. I need to organize that.
Yeah. The safe, we talked about the combination. And the other thing is weapons. Do you have weapons in the house? Did they have weapons in the house? Are they legal? Are they not legal? We're not here to judge, but where are they, and are they registered? Are you going to open a drawer and there's a handgun there and you don't know whether it's loaded or not? Perfectly okay. We're not judging, but you need to know where the weapons are and what the weapons are.
Agreed.
Because you just don't. And pet information, moving on. Vet information, long-term plans for your pets, what your pets eat, what their routine is.
Yeah.
You have a pet. I don't.
Me too. I have 2. We just lost one, but my one is an older dog, Dexter, but Sadie is my baby, and it's important to know. I would want to have a plan, like who would take care of her.
Even in the interim, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
You're in
Who's
the
gonna
hospital
take
a
care
week.
of her? Yeah.
You don't need to be worried about the pet.
And like if you live alone and you're taken by ambulance, someone needs to know there's a dog or a cat in the house that needs care. So, because sometimes, some people we talk to, unfortunately, maybe they don't have kids who live nearby, or the kids are not in their lives, or they never had children, and there's really nobody. So maybe a neighbor, somebody needs to know, so nothing that happens to the poor animal.
Moving on, suggestion. And there's a picture that you can download or that will be in the binder. A portable, lockable safe, not a combination safe, safe with keys, that is portable. Lowe's has them, Home Depot has them, and Amazon has them. They're heavy, but they are portable. And in my case, if something happened to us, Susan could come in and take this box to her house and work on it, because there's a lot of information in there. And it's not a big filing cabinet. It's very, very portable. And it is fireproof. How fireproof? I don't know. But they say it's waterproof and fireproof. So we do keep everything that is immediately needed in this filing cabinet. It's at Lowe's. They're like $50, $60, $70. Highly suggest to keep everything in one place. You're trying to make this an easy access, an easy process for them.
And like Lynn said, a picture and the information on the one that she really likes and has used is going to be in the downloadable, so you can see that.
Something to think about. Do you own a business or the sole prime income source of your family? Now, this is more food for thought than it is to write down. Legal documents for your company. Where are they located? I do own a couple of companies. Yes, I know where they are, and everybody else knows where they are. Do you have an attorney associated with your company? Who is it? My company's 30 years old. Yes, everybody knows who they are, but things changed during the last 30 years. So where are they? Business accounts. Who's the signer on the business accounts and banks? Accounts receivable and payable? Assets and liabilities of your account? What's the plan if you can't produce an income or you're incapacitated? Just for thought.
Something I need to think about. Do you have who your accountant is on that too? Yeah.
A succession plan. Do you have life insurance to cover the closing or transferring of the costs of the company?
Hadn't thought about that.
Well, I have staffing companies and I have a weekly payroll. So my payroll still has to be made until something can be done. Is there enough money there, or do you need my life insurance to continue my company for a while? Taxes and monthly accounting, who handles it, who does it? Just, again, more food for thought on this page than it is to write down. But if you are the sole business owner, somebody needs to know this information, not just you. Kind of moving on, we're going to go through the binder next. One of the most important pages in this binder is your IDs. I can't tell you how many times I've pulled the IDs of my mom. She's 97. She did have a driver's license. We still use it. Her Social Security card, her Medicare card, her insurance card, her supplement, her drug. And the other thing is voter registration. It's just an easy place to put your voter registration card because who uses it?
And what Lynn has is just like a plastic insertable, what do you call these? Like just an insertable?
Page protector.
Page protector. A page protector. And Lynn got hers out so we can see it. So hers, she has, actually, you're not going to see it because of her information, but I get to see it. She has copies of all of the documents we mentioned, driver's license, Social Security card, all that stuff. For her mom's, because she's in charge of it, she has the originals in the book. So I hope that makes sense.
I do have my original Social Security card.
Okay.
Because no one carries that anymore. And I do have my passport in here.
Okay.
Just because I know where it is.
Yeah.
It's with, and my voter registration card, as we talked about. So it's just an easy, all your IDs are there. And yes, you'll need that when you go to the hospital. We talked about cell phones already, but there's a page with a page protector that talks about cell phones, your security number on your cell phone, facial ID, fingerprints. Who is the carrier? How do you log in? And who's on your plan? I happen to have 5 phones on my plan because I also use it for the office. So it's just important to know this. How's the phone paid for? How do you access the invoice? How do you get into it? And I'm going now into computers and emails. What is your login for your emails and your passwords? So just information that people know that you can put away if you're worried that people are going to get into your things. This is for future. It's not necessarily going to publish this in the daily news.
Yeah. You're going to lock it up too.
Yeah, you're going to lock it up. Signers on accounts. I'm moving kind of into banking. There's a page here. Who are the signers? Are they checking accounts? Are they money markets? Are they CDs? What is it? And also in the slip, you can put the latest statements in your slip so that it's easy for people to find it. Checking account, safety deposit box. Many people, I'm assuming, it's kind of an old thing, but have safety deposit box at banks. How do you get into it? Where is it?
Yeah, do you even know? Your parents may have one and you don't know.
So financial information, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. Do you have it? Who's in charge of it? Who does it? You need to know that because
when you mentioned financial, I thought about this. Mark actually was a victim of fraud a couple of months ago. I get a thing in the mail from Capital Bank saying, "Oh, Mark Williams, you've been approved for this credit card." And I'm like, I know he didn't apply for that. So I called them. And I will say the first lady I talked to, I had to kind of go a little crazy on her because she was saying she had to talk to him and he had to answer questions. And I'm like, I have power of attorney, and he couldn't answer the questions. And so she had to say, ma'am, you need to be professional. I was being professional until she said that. Then I was no longer professional. But anyhow, it ended up being a big mess, which we were able to clean up. And then I went ahead and got LifeLock just to lock everything down. So everything we have is locked down because when you're in the hospital and rehab, all the places Mark has been, all his information is out there. So I don't know who has it and who is trying to open accounts in his name. So just be aware of that. So add LifeLock or whatever. For me, I sleep better at night knowing that I have that.
Good idea. So moving on, financial, credit cards, debit cards. I actually have made copies of mine that are in my book My mom doesn't have any credit cards, but it's all right here. Passwords, how to get in. You need copies of them. And if your wallet's stolen, it's all right here. Your information's there. So it's just not a death book. It's a life book.
Yeah.
Vehicles. Where are the titles? Where are they located? What are the VIN numbers? Where are the titles? Who owns it? What are they?
And if you have a loan.
A loan?
Yeah.
What's the loan number? And how much is the loan? When you're writing these things, how much is owed on the credit card? It's February 1st. What is the loan on the car? So you have an idea of what's going on. And in 2 years, if the loan today is $10,000 and your mom's paying it, and in 2 years it's $12,000, something's wrong.
Yeah.
So know the amounts for these cards and loans if they're there. Moving on to the medical a little bit. Doctor's information. Who's your doctor? Who are they associated with? What are the portals?
As we get older too, I mean, we have, or if you're on an HMO, which we are, you have a primary care physician. Everything goes through that doctor. But you also, for Mark now, I have a neurologist, I have a vascular surgeon, I have a special eye doctor. I have a whole team. And, you could possibly find all that if something happened to me, but why make it hard on yourself? Have everything listed.
Or if you're in the hospital and they say, who are your doctors? They're here. You don't have to.
And you know what? That's a good point, because I'm going to say when this latest incident, Mark had a seizure and we had to have him taken to the emergency room. I had been up all night with him, and then the seizure happened, and I was pretty much, I was calm on the exterior. On the interior, I was freaking out, and I could not remember certain things. Like, they were asking about the doctor, and I did not have this book to go. I had my sheet, which I brought with me, but I didn't have the allergies. And I ended up, I've said this before, this is so ridiculous. I knew he was allergic to an antibiotic, and I said amoxicillin, and it wasn't. And then it came to me later. I said, no, it's augmentin. It is in his file. So I can't get that off his file now. It comes up that he's allergic to amoxicillin, and he's not. So another good reason to have your information so you don't mess things up.
Totally agree.
Yep.
Prescriptions. What kind of prescriptions are you on? What supplements do you take?
Where do you get your medications filled?
Right. Exactly.
Walgreens, where do they have you?
Exactly. And the reason for the drug. Why is this person on the drug? If you know that, it might help if they're on it, why are they on it? And it's another trigger for a question.
And if they are keeping up with it, which hopefully they are, sometimes we have older adults who are on so many medications from different doctors who are not talking to each other, and they're over medicated. So sometimes there's some dementia involved, so you may not have all the information, but it's a good opening segue to talk with them about it and see what they're taking.
And get in their business. Get in their business. Know why they're taking it. Know why they're on a blood thinner. Do they need it? Or was the blood thinner 20 years ago because they had a clot 20 years ago and they're still on it? Hospitalization history. That's another thing. Know what the hospitalization history is. Think of when you're in the hospital and they say, have you ever been in the hospital before? Sure or no, or it was years ago, or it was, I happen to have 2 knee replacements. It's a fixable event. It was done. It's over. I have no ongoing. Mom, well, it's another thing. But know your hospitalization history, because it's a question they ask in the hospital. Allergies, like Lori had said, are there health issues that you need to know about, other than just the normal, I had a cold and my knee was replaced and I'm fine? Are there issues?
High blood pressure. That was hard to say. Cholesterol, anything like that going on.
Ongoing issues. Again, we talked about prescriptions and medications. Know what they are, the dosing, who administered them, why, when. And the other thing is, what is the generic name?
That's good.
Because a lot of times it is one thing and they'll have it as another. And I've even asked for me, what is that? And they go, oh, it's so-and-so's. Oh, yeah, I took that. But know what these names are, because the generic names are not the same as the regular. The other thing you need is an out-of-hospital DNR. If you're in the hospital, your legal papers cover the do not resuscitate. There is an out-of-hospital DNR that if you should, again, I'm not legal, but if you should die at home, you need an out-of-hospital DNR.
You mean if you call the ambulance, they come and they're trying to resuscitate you?
Right.
I mean, not if you're found.
Correct.
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
But if your wishes are no heroic and they're hooking you up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point.
Long-term care. I would suggest long-term care insurance. Personally, Mom had it. It's wonderful. So these are your medical sides of things. Insurance, we've kind of talked about insurance a little bit. Long-term care would fall under that. Your policies, homeowners, rental, vehicle, umbrella, pension, long-term care, life insurance. Know where these are. Know where they are.
And you have all this on the insurance page. Okay.
What the company is and what the policy is. So there's a page that you can fill in the blank on your insurances. So it's easy to keep up with. Another thing that we're going to talk about that's not quite as pleasant, but you need to know. Burial and funeral arrangements. Is the funeral, have the arrangements been prepaid? Where's the information? I'm looking at mine. The original information is in my husband's book. I have a copy in mine, and it says right here, this is a copy. The original is in Dad's file for my daughter. So she knows where the original is, but I have a copy so she knows what's going on.
And that is a hard thing to talk about. People don't want to talk about burial plans and arrangements and stuff, and I get that. But just to have it done, and I have not done this yet, I need to, but for your kids, so that they don't have to worry about it. And thankfully, Mark and I have had conversations in the past, so I know he does not want to be cremated. He wants to be buried. Me, cremate me. I'm fine. Whatever. Put me in a little box. But, that's really important information to know, because you want to know what their ideas on that. And I'm glad that Mark and I have had that conversation before, because I don't know that he could tell me now.
And prepay for it.
Yeah.
Your kids don't have to sit, or your people don't have to sit in a big room in a funeral home making these arrangements.
That's true.
One of the things that we talk about will and arrangements. When my son died, it was very sudden. It was within 24 hours. His wife came the next day and brought her legal documents. And she said, well, here's Eric's will. Your information, your wishes are not in your will. So we had to go the next day to the funeral home and make his arrangements. Luckily, I had prepaid for a columbarium and the holes that the ashes go into about 6 months earlier, and kiddingly said to both of my kids, here they are. I bought 4 of them, one for Dad and I, one for you, one for your sister, and one for my grandchild. And I said, if nothing else, you can sell them someday because they'll be worth money. Well, not knowing what was going to happen, my son died, and we did have him cremated, and it was done. But Aaron said to me, his wife, she had no idea what he wanted. Well, at 42, you don't talk about this. So we made the decision, which is fine, I guess, but you need to talk about this.
Yeah.
It's not in your will. As she brought in this bag with his will, it's like, no, Aaron, this is not.
Yeah.
So anyways, and prepay for them. Ours are prepaid. My mom and dad's were prepaid, and it was very nice not to have to make these decisions. These decisions were made, and I didn't have to deal with it.
Yeah, because if you're sitting in there making the arrangements yourself, you're already very emotional. I feel like you end up falling for being upsold to. And I'm not like digging at funeral homes or anything.
No.
But I mean, they're a business, they're there to make money. But I feel like, sometimes you're sitting there and you're like, okay, yes, let's get the Cadillac of, coffins. And, and there's so many things, like, I know when my dad died, nothing was arranged. He was 50 and it was in Louisiana. And of course, they're telling us you have to have this certain insert in the ground because of the rains a lot there. And, we didn't know. We're just like, okay, whatever. Because it's just not something you think about. And I was 25 at the time. So of course I never thought about that. But it's just, I feel like it's a gift that you give your family if you have things prearranged, or at the very minimum have had some conversation.
Absolutely. And know the attorney that you dealt with your arrangements. And the other thing is who to contact when you die. Well, it's all on my cell phone. As I mentioned earlier, I own a business. I have over 1,000 contacts in my cell phone. Who would the first person be that you'd want called? And what is the relationship to them? Why are you calling them? There's a page in here that lists that. And on the back of it also lists your attorney, your accountant, your tax preparer, your financial advisor, your clergy, and funeral home contact. Who are these people? Yes, maybe they could muddle through it. just write it down. Some of this stuff may be redundant that you're putting in the book. It's why.
But this is easy. You just go to this one page. Okay, Dad has passed. Now, who are we going to call? And everything is there.
You don't have to worry about who's in the phone book and why.
Exactly.
So,
or fumble through. Okay, who was their life insurance? Who was their accountant? You're not having to do that. It's all there for you to call.
So that's, I think, valuable. Certificates, again, we've talked about this. There's slips in the pages for birth certificates, death certificates, and marriage certificates. There's my birth certificate. Here's my marriage certificate. Shows you how old. And then Greg's birth certificate. The original is in Lynn's, in mine. Copies are in his. So they're all right here. You need...
Wait, okay, side note. When you were born, they put a picture of you in your birth certificate?
No, this is... No.
Okay, there's a picture of a baby on this birth certificate. It looks very...
You're supposed to pop that up.
You put your own picture on there.
Yeah, well...
My birth certificate's not that fancy.
Yeah.
She has a cool one.
And it's very old. That's why, very old.
It's an antique.
Yes. Yeah. So, and you need your marriage certificate when you go to apply for Social Security. And there's one other thing that you need your marriage certificate for. I had to actually hunt my mom's down. So make sure that, or my mom and dad's down.
Did you mention about obituary? Because we had talked about that.
No.
Adding that to the book.
If you don't want to write your own obituary, which is morbid maybe, put notes in there that would help whoever is writing it. Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school? Who your living relatives might be? Who would you like mentioned in the obituary? How long do you want it? Do you want them to know you go back to the Daughters of the American Revolution or today?
Do you want donations made to a charity or something? Maybe the Alzheimer's Association,
yes.
Whatever it could be. Yeah.
So put those down. Put them down. Again, this is for thought.
Maybe even music.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are poems that we were talking about that. Things that resonate with you that you would want to be
shared. Service, if you're having a service. Military paperwork, discharge papers, pets, real simple, vet's name, medication, shots, anything that you would need for your pets. And as you complete them, you can flip them in the back of the book or whatever. But just to have everything in one place.
I know you all aren't looking at the book right now, but the way it is set up is it's very simple. And I mean, I have looked, you can go on Amazon. There are all kinds of books that kind of do this. Some are very tiny. There's not a place where you can insert things. I mean, Lynn and I looked at different ones and there just really wasn't one, in my opinion. Again, it's simple, but it's easy. Everything is there that you could want. So it's just a regular binder. I think it's a 1-inch binder.
Yep.
And
with page protectors.
Yeah, with page protectors. And then Lynn also put little tabs on too. So you can just easily flip to, finance, insurance, arrangements, medical, whatever it is that you need.
So, and the other thing that we do have is a little password book here. If you're interested to put all your passwords in.
Yeah. So it's like a little blue book that you could put information in.
Like a 2x5.
Or you could just type it on something, put it in a Word document and have it in a page protector. Whatever. I mean, keep it simple. Oh, yeah, she has hers. Keep it simple. I mean, after all this happened with Mark, I did a budget of everything because he was taking care of that. And it may be on his computer somewhere, but I just went on my bank and made a list so I know everything that needed to be paid. And like I said, the only thing I had trouble with was that HOA payment, but, got all that figured out. But just the point is not to make it so complicated that you don't do it, because we want you to do this. And just knowing, I don't have the statistics in front of me, but the number, it's a very low percentage of people who actually have their wills done. And, it's so important, but I think people just don't like to think about it. And that's why they don't do it. But you have to think, we never know what's going to happen in life. I mean, we have no clue. And, a catastrophic event can happen when you're young. It happens. My son died. Your husband had a stroke. Yeah. It's unexpected, worst case scenario. And we all think, the worst case is not going to happen to us. And maybe we do that just to sort of protect ourselves. But it does happen. And we're two people who are sitting here telling you it happens.
Yeah. And my 97-year-old mother is still living, and I have to do her affairs. But that will be expected, and it will be in order.
Anything else that we need to add about the binder?
Just know where it is. Keep it up. And the other thing is, when I do my taxes, I go through this once a year and keep it up to date. I don't keep it up to date on a daily basis if I change doctors, but once a year, just flip through it and update it. And that's what I do.
Yeah. And when we were talking about it, it's actually like a living document. So if there's something else you need to put in, something that comes to mind that's important to you, add it in.
A test result.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
My cataract implants. You can keep believe it or not, my COVID card is in mine. Who uses it anymore? But it's there. I know where it is.
Yeah. If someone asks you what kind did you get, you have the information there. But just whatever kind of resonates with you. Maybe even like if you haven't, thought about, like you said, some jewelry, who you want it to go to. And if you haven't defined that, each piece in a will, because my will is pretty basic. It's not like this is going to go to so-and-so. You might want to have a note there, like, I want this car to go to this child, or, whatever resonates.
Whatever works for you. This is your document.
Exactly. And it's it's going to help you because you're so organized and amazing. And then it's also going to help your family if they have to take care of you or settle your estate.
True.
Yeah. So that is the whole point of the binder. And thank you, Lynne, for all your hard work on this. And we've had many conversations about it. We've even presented it to our book club to get their feedback. And, it's constantly growing and changing. And, we just think it's so important. That's why we wanted to do this and share it with y'all. So thank you, Lynne.
You're welcome.
Okay. So like I said, if you're interested, if you're in the Dallas area, we are going to start doing some workshops, and we can walk you through it and help you actually get started. So you don't just get a binder, put your stuff together, and then never actually put the information in there. And again, we have the downloadable on my website, which is loriwilliams-seniorservices.com. You'll be able to go on there to download it and create your own binder. And if you have questions about it, you can always send me a message through the website. We're happy to help you and make this as simple a process as possible. So thanks for listening. Share this podcast with your friends and family. This is a good way to have those difficult conversations with your parents or grandparents, and make sure you're prepared for a worst case scenario. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.